Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 45. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. How are you doing today?
Not too bad. Hello, everyone in the chat. Hope you're all well.
Yes. Hello.
Doing better than my sister, who's been having the most terriblest time ever. She came down to visit last weekend, and then she made it as far as Irvine, which is about 70, 80 miles north of me, and her tire exploded.
Ooh, that's never fun.
I like to phrase it as her horse threw a shoe. But that thing just shredded, just pop. I mean, I've seen like 18-wheelers tires explode. I guess hers did the same thing.
Yeah.
So she, of course, this was Friday night around like 6:30, something like that. So the auto repair place was closed. So all they could do was tow her car to some lot to hold it over the entire weekend. And then she had like a doctor's appointment Monday afternoon. So it was really important that they actually get the tow truck there and that the place fix the car in the day. So I went up there, got her. She spent the weekend with me. Then our dad came down and picked her up Monday morning. Which meant I only have one key to my apartment, so I had to sit Monday morning, wait for Dad to get here. Of course, he lives up in Hemet, I believe. So I was like 3 hours late to work, and I immediately took my hour lunch, and I was on call that night, so I took off 2 hours early. So, didn't do a whole hell of a lot of work that day. And then, but she had to get a rental because her car wasn't done. And then the car was done Friday, and she lives about 2 hours, depending on traffic, possibly 3 hours north of Irvine. So she had to come back down Friday at like 5 to get to pick up her car. She drove home, and then she texts me late that night, and she's like, "I'm finally home. I just want to go to bed and cuddle with my lizard." And she means that she has a pet lizard. And she's texting me, and she says, "And I'm laying in bed, and the lizard's laying on me, and he poops on me." And I'm like, well, that caps off a particularly crappy weekend, I suppose, or crappy week. So I've been better than that. Any hardships I've had this week kind of pale in comparison to the crap my sister's been going through. So
that is pretty crazy. Oh yeah, my week has been a pretty mixed bag. I've been working on some game stuff. I've got I've Super BitCon. It's this is the third year it's going on. It's a retro gaming convention here in Oklahoma City that they have a bunch of vendors come out to sell their games and other video game related stuff, and then also they have game developers and artists come out and set up booths and stuff. And I got a table there, and so I'm trying to get everything ready for that display. And so this week I made some updates to Manly Boy, the only game that I've ever actually released in a store of sorts. It's on itch.io. And I made that game for Super BitCon 2 years ago, the first Super BitCon, and it was pretty well received by the people there. I've only sold 3 copies of the game, but I didn't expect to make millions of dollars off of it because the games are all really simple. But at Super BitCon, when I first showed it off, I had controller support for it, but I took it out because the controllers, because I only developed it to work with this controller, and I didn't have any other controllers to test with. So I was just like, I just take controller support out and then release it. And this year I decided, because I wanted to display it again and another game I'm working on, I decided to add controller support back in because people are going to need to be able to play it, and I don't want to have people try to play it on a keyboard. So I got controller support working on it again, and then all of a sudden my controller stopped working with my laptop and I couldn't test anymore. And this happened on Thursday. And so like the last 3 days, today, yesterday, and Thursday, I've been trying to figure out how to get everything back to get back working so that I can finish up the other game that I want to display there. And not really finish it. It's going to be mostly a demo because I'm not going to have time to make all the levels and add all the characters I want. But I should be able to add a couple of playable characters. I want it to be 2 players. The game is going to be 4-player in the end. It's a gauntlet style game, just like Gauntlet for the for the NES, and so I want to have it at least 2-player when I get at Super BitCon, and then have maybe 5 levels or so to traverse. But yeah, so hopefully I'll get all that done next week and make all the little flyers and things that I gotta make too. So but yeah, hopefully everything will go well. I've got everything else figured out. I've got how I'm going to do the displays. I've got 2 laptops, 2 widescreen monitors that are going to be used, and then I've got 3 working controllers. So one to use on Manly Boy, and then 2 to use on this Gauntlet style game that I'm making, and then people will be able to play the game. So it'll be hopefully be a good experience and get some interest in the games that I'm making, and then hopefully get some games out and make some money this year.
Cool.
So yeah, fun week. Hopefully next week will be a lot more fun.
Matthew says he's interested in seeing what I think of Kato, the Right Answer, which is one of the new spring season's anime shows.
Yeah.
That I'm pretty sure is actually I have my editor open. I could take a look real quick. Yep, that's the 2nd episode of my new YouTube series debut review, where I review well, not exactly review, but where I watch the first episode of a new anime and decide whether I want to keep watching it or not. So that should be posted Monday, I think. I think I'm going to do a new episode on each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I think is how I'll release this series. So.
Okay, so you're not doing a 30 days type thing?
No, because I'm not sure how many shows I'm going to do, because I haven't counted to see how many there are, because I'm only doing new shows. I'm not doing any second season stuff, because a lot of the shows that premiered this month are season 2 of whatever. For example, let me see, because I actually have the calendar open too. Load faster. Why are we not load? Always when we're live doing a show. Come on, seriously.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Just you don't want to do anything else while you're doing the podcast.
Yeah, for Monster Strike.
Anything else?
Yeah, Monster Strike is that's not a new show. It's what premiered is season 2. Same thing, Attack on Titan season 2. So I'm not gonna watch those. And I also said no spin-offs, and I did that almost specifically so I didn't have to watch Boruto. which is a spin-off of Naruto. Apparently it's his son. I really, really, really didn't want to watch that, so I'm like, all right, no spin-offs either. So I don't know.
So is Naruto trying to pull off a Legend of Korra or something?
I don't know. I've only seen a couple episodes of Naruto. And
I've never watched an episode of Naruto. I really liked Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. I watched them the other way around though. I watched Legend of Korra first and then Avatar. Still both great shows. I loved them both. They both had their great points and hardly any flaws in either one of them. I think Avatar had more of the flaws just because it was the original series, and frankly, shows about annoying kids are annoying. But you can work past the annoying kids because there's such a great storyline going on and some great action in there. And seriously, the action in the Avatar series, so much better than trying to watch something with like Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, where it takes like 6 episodes to finish a 30-minute fight.
I mean, if you miss something, they're just going to do it over and over again.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite stalls in anime, and what I mean by that is something that should in real time take about 7 seconds, they just drag out over the course of an episode or so, is in Gantz, which if you haven't heard of it, don't worry, I'm not going to rehash the entire cockamamie plot, but several episodes into the show, basically here's the setup. You have our group of heroes on a overpass, a bridge that's going over like a sewer drainage ditch reservoir type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of their party is down in the bottom of the reservoir getting his butt kicked by an alien monster thing. But the guy that's getting his butt kicked is like a real jerk. But he's like a really talented jerk. No one likes him, but he is really useful. So they're up on the bridge and they're arguing amongst each other. It's like, but he's going to die. We're no better than him. If we let him die, we've got to go down to save him. No, but he's a real jerk. He could get us all killed, but he's really strong and maybe he just needs a helping hand. And they sit there and they argue about it. I kid you not, for 1.5 episodes. And I'm like, this guy would be dead for like 45 minutes. It's amazing how long they stretch out, what should have literally been like maybe 10 or 15 seconds, an episode and a half. It's great.
Matthew asked, how did I miss Avatar back in the day? I don't have cable or satellite. That's how. I only watched it because it was available on Netflix. That's right, I think. Yeah, so
I've never seen it either. I'm aware.
Yeah. Well, it's just I watched Legend of Korra on Netflix because everybody was talking about how awesome it was, and I was like, okay, well let me give this a try, and oh man, it was great, and so I watched Avatar.
Yeah. Well, how I'm doing circling back to the point I was making is how I'm doing the debut review show is I didn't look ahead to count how many shows I'd be doing. I'm basically just going through Crunchyroll's calendar. And so each episode, I don't know what I'm going to do until I look at the calendar and see what's next. So I'm not like reading ahead and reading the descriptions and getting an idea in my head of what I'm going to see. I start the show saying, today's show is this, and then I read the episode description. I go, okay, that sounds neat, or that sounds really, I'm in for a world of pain. And so that's why I don't really know how many episodes this is going to be.
Yeah. Okay.
And once I finish all the shows on Crunchyroll, I might go over to like Funimation's site and see if there are any shows that were on there that aren't on. There's a couple, maybe not Funimation. If they dub all their stuff, then no. But there are some other services other than Crunchyroll that I think have that are free that may have some shows that Crunchyroll doesn't have. So I may look into that if I feel like it, which I might, because who doesn't want to watch cartoons?
Yeah.
Let's see. Codename Z says Tokyo Mirage Sessions. It's sad that most people only know it because of the censorship, because it's a great game, and I agree, it is a great game. And even if you don't want to go through what's admittedly kind of a pain in the ass to put all the uncensored stuff back in the game, it's perfectly playable censored. The censorship is stupid. Genuinely nonsensical and stupid, but it doesn't really harm the way the game plays. It doesn't make the plot nonsensical. It makes a couple things a little weird, but whether you play it censored or uncensored, I do recommend giving it a try, because it is a lot of fun. 13U Cube says the Hyperkin Retro N2 looks really pixelated. Does anyone know a fix? Zachary?
No, I've never used it, so I have no idea. You'll just have to Google it.
Yeah. Are you going to be at Retropalooza in Arlington, Texas in October? Asked Jordan.
Probably not. I don't make it out to everything that I would love to go to, and honestly, there's plenty of events here in Oklahoma for me to go to. Just 2 weeks ago, there was Heartland Gaming Expo that I could have gone to, but didn't. That's up in Tulsa, but I don't have the money, or I didn't have the money, time, or fun, or anything to get to that one. Then there's Tokyo and Tulsa, which is more of an anime convention, like anime and comics, I think. But they do have some gaming stuff there too. And then in September, there's a XPO, the XPO conference. That they had their first or their debut conference last year, and they're doing it again. I think they're trying to be. Their goal is to be more of something that's a national event, whereas Tokyo and Tulsa, Heartland Gaming Expo, and Super BitCon are more Oklahoma and surrounding area style events, but XPO, they want it to be more of a national event. And so that's something that I would love to get out to. I missed going to it last year, even though I really wanted to. I couldn't make it, but I would love to go out to that one this year.
Yeah. Future Card Buddy Fight X. That's second season, thank God. I looked at that title, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to watch it. And then I looked at it second season or something. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. That sounds terrible. Let's see. Codename Z asks, says, you have an editor? How much do you pay that person? No, I don't have an editor. What I mean is my editing software. I use Sony Vegas, if you want to know. And I have it open in another window because I'm editing the debut review show. Matthew reminds me that Crunchyroll and Funimation did a deal last year to share their stuff, and oh yeah, I remember that. If I'm remembering correctly, they have this. They're doing a lot of the same shows. Crunchyroll doing the subtitled, and Funimation doing the dubbed, which means there's really no reason to go over to Funimation if the subtitled version's on Crunchyroll. So
Yeah.
if you prefer dubs, it's cool. Don't worry about it. You're wrong and you're weird, but you know it's cool. Codename Z is playing the censored version of Tokyo Mirage Sessions and wouldn't know it was censored, so wouldn't notice. I can only think of one instance where it's kind of obvious something censored because it's different in the pre-rendered cutscene than it is in the in-game footage. But I won't point. You're probably past that point, but don't worry about it, I guess. Netflix and Amazon are both starting to do seasonal anime. Yep, but both are. I think Amazon's is like called Anime Strike or something, but those are both pay services. So
Yeah, and Netflix doesn't have as many shows, but they have a handful of shows that they've done. They did Voltron, they just released their second season of Voltron, and then there was something else. I think it was like something about the Seven Sins or something like that. I think is another one of their shows. I can't remember what it's called, but I know it has something about the Seven Sins. But yeah, those are the only two that I can think of. Oh, and then the Castlevania show that's coming out later this year.
That I'd really like to see. Seven Sins, huh?
Yeah.
I bet all seven sins are represented by buxom, scantily clad women with rainbow, gravity-defying hair. That's my guess for that show.
Yeah, it's the seven. I think it's the Seven Deadly Sins.
All right.
Yeah.
Little Witch Academia last season. Wasn't that like a short and then they made a show out of it? If it's what I'm thinking of, I saw the short and I thought it was cute. But anyway, let us jump to topics.
All right.
First topic is actually a question from someone on YouTube who I was thinking about doing this as a Q and Andrew, but being that I'm busy with the debut review show, it'd be a while till I got to it. So, Nightmare Ninja asks, and I love that name, Nightmare Ninja.
Nightmare Ninja. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. What do you think of the idea of Nintendo allowing indie developers their IPs? Won't happen, but an interesting topic to discuss.
Yeah, that was my first thought. Was there's no way Nintendo would do that. But they have loaned out their IPs to third-party developers before. So Metroid Other M is the example that comes to mind, and boy, was that a mistake, I think. But I don't know.
think
The
that game
game
gets
plays
more
all right.
crap
But,
than it.
yeah,
The game is
I
fun.
haven't
The
played it
presentation
yet.
writing is
I
kind of
still
crap.
need to play it,
Oh,
and
okay.
but I'm still trying to play. I still got to finish Metroid Prime, the Metroid Prime trilogy. I still have to beat the last boss in Metroid Prime 2 and play Metroid Prime 3, and I haven't gotten around to doing that.
Let's
But
see. F-Zero was so that was Team Ninja. F-Zero, one of them was handed off to
yeah,
Sega.
I don't remember.
Someone took that one. I think it might have been Sega, although that may have just been the arcade version. I'd have to look that up. But yeah,
Probably.
Nintendo
Yeah.
has. Capcom has done a couple of the Game Boy Zelda games, the Oracle of Ages and Seasons.
Yeah, Capcom did
And I
Ages and
think
Seasons, and
Minish
I think
Cap.
they did a. Yeah, I think they were Minish Cap too. But yeah, but those were both very good Zelda games, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I never got to finish them, and I need to buy a because I was playing it on somebody else's Game Boy over a weekend. I was staying at my my sister-in-law's house for a holiday weekend of some sort, and they had them both, and I played. I think it was Ages that I was playing, and I just played that over the weekend. I got probably a good 6 or 7 hours into it.
Yeah, Codename confirms it. Yeah, it was Sega that developed the GameCube and arcade versions of F-Zero.
Okay.
X. So
yeah.
So Nintendo will partner with third parties, but if you indie develop, and it depends on exactly who you mean when you say indie developer, because
will they loan their IP out to me? No, they won't. Matthew, or no, who was it? Codename Z says that Minecraft is an indie game, and they loaned out their IP, but it's not the same thing. They didn't make Mojang didn't make a Nintendo game. They put Mario skins in Minecraft, and that's a huge difference.
I think what Nightmare Ninja is getting at is would Nintendo loan its IP, like, okay, person who made that one Metroid inspired what the hell is that called? It's like one guy spent 6 years doing the same game, not Stardew Valley, the Metroidvania game.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that game.
What I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I
know
keep
the one
thinking
you're
Rogue
talking
Legacy,
about.
but that's a different one.
It came out on the 360.
Yeah, it's on pretty much everything.
Yeah,
Help me, chat. You know which one I'm talking about. It's got the gun that glitches the game. That, like, you shoot enemies and they become little glitchy things that you can stand on. What's that called? Help me, chat.
Golly, I can't remember.
But it's like, give that person say, hey, make a Metroid game. If you mean people like whatever his name is, or the one who did Stardew Valley, or Axiom Verge. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Axiom Verge. And Codename Z had it right behind too. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Yeah, we're very bad game fans.
We're old
to forget all these things. But
because I would have sat here describing the entire game to you guys. I remember everything about the game. I could describe like the some of the settings and the weapons. It's like I can remember everything except the damn thing's name. But the problem with handing it to a indie developer like the one or maybe very small group of people, like 1 to 4 people who work out of a home, is you could do that, but your game wouldn't be done for like 6 to 8 years.
Well, I think if Nintendo actually funded them, actually said, you guys, we really like what you did with Game X, and we want you to make a game using our IP. We want you to make this game. So say they go up to Jonathan Blow and say, we really liked Braid, and we want you to do our next Mario game for some reason.
Make a Paper Mario RPG.
And so here you go, and we're gonna pay you, $1 million a year to make this game, and we want it done in 2 years. I think they would make it happen. It would happen. But the thing that I have, the problem I have with it is not so much how long it would take, but it's just the indie culture is very different than the the Nintendo corporate culture. Nintendo is very closed. Like they won't talk about anything until they are ready to say it's coming out in 6 months.
Yeah.
Whereas indie developers, they're sitting there prototyping a game and they're screenshotting it, tweeting everything that they're doing all day, every
Live
day.
blogging the development. Yeah.
Yeah, they indie developers have a very open culture where they talk about everything, and I think that's fundamentally conflicting with Nintendo,
Yeah,
and
that's
they
true. I mean,
wouldn't
if
be
you
able to
gave,
deal with that.
yeah, I mean, if you gave something to the person who did Stardew Valley, he would drop off the radar for 6 years, and people like, did he die? We haven't heard from him in years. And he's like, I'm working on Metroid or whatever, but I can't talk about it. I'm working on it all by myself. It's hard. But so the single developer or four-person very very small development teams, probably not. There might be some of the larger development teams, like Way Forward, Yacht Club, maybe Platonic, although from what I'm reading, Ukulele didn't turn out as well as people were hoping. Maybe you might get, if they wanted to do a retro-inspired version of one of their games, they might task one of those companies with it.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. But an idea I had when I first read this question was, what might be fun is if Nintendo hosted like a yearly game jam, and just invited a bunch of independent developers in for a game jam and said, okay, either this is the Metroid game jam, everyone make a Metroid game this weekend or this week, or starting now and we'll show them all off at E3. Usually game jams are a weekend though, but or even if it wasn't a single theme like Metroid, it's like, okay, draw an IP out of the box. Oh, I got Metroid, I got F-Zero, I got what's the jet ski one, Wave Race, and just see what they. Of course, Nintendo would retain control of.
I got Wii Music.
I got Wii Music. Oh god, Wii Music game. Yeah, oh, thanks. Yeah, this is why we can't have nice things, Nintendo. And then they could make a big deal about it, and show all the games off at E3, and make them available on the Wii U and Switch store and 3DS stores for people to play. Could be, I think there's something there that could be cool, a lot of fun.
That would be cool. Again, it's something that I doubt Nintendo would be willing to do.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. But I look at Nintendo and I'm like, they have a culture. They have a look and feel to them that that people respond to, that people trust, and I think Nintendo would do well to share that a little bit with indie developers.
Yeah.
Like we've had Square and Warner and Activision and a couple other companies, or Microsoft just recently, but they've all created some kind of indie incentive program where it's basically like what you were describing, just without the IP thing, where they're like, you make a game, and if we like it, we'll pay you and publish it for you. And I think if Nintendo did something like that, people would respond really well. They would probably get so many entries that they wouldn't be able to.
Or you do it the Microsoft way, and with XBlig, and just completely uncurated, unmonitored, whatever. Just throw it all up there. Who cares?
Yeah. But yeah, so I think people would respond really well to an indie outreach program like that
Mhm.
from Nintendo.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, especially since a lot of indie developers, their games are clearly inspired by latter-day Nintendo titles,
oh yeah,
or at least games that were popularized on old Nintendo systems, even if they weren't
yeah,
necessarily Nintendo games. There's a ton of love there, and I think Nintendo could very cynically take advantage of it for monetary gain. Um, or
yeah.
maybe they hate money and they're like, no, no,
Yeah.
throw that on the pile with the NES Classic Edition. So,
Yeah.
oh, Jordan, you wasted my time with that comment. Shame, shame on you. Um, all right. So,
But yeah, good
great
question.
question, though. I
Yeah.
have a very interesting idea of the things Nintendo could do and almost certainly won't. But I mean,
Yeah.
at least Nintendo is working with indie developers and promoting their games and hosting them on the
Oh
system.
yeah.
It's a good thing too, because otherwise there'd be literally nothing on the Switch to play other than Zelda. But
Yeah. Oh come on, they've got Bomberman R. That's like
that's
Zelda
true.
and Bomberman R are the only two games you really need right now. Oh, and
Which
Shovel Knight. You gotta get Shovel
right,
Knight.
right, which has been out on every other system for every year, but but I mean, is still being updated with new content like a Torment of Spectre of Torment. Um, and to be fair, Bomberman R was just updated to fix the frame rate and do some game balancing things. And I read the patch notes, and one of them was we made the ramps that lead to the different levels of the stages more visually clear. I'm like, yeah, because I was watching, I I was watching video of it, and it took me a while to realize. I'm like, oh, there's two separate heights on this map because the ramp is seriously in a lot of stages visually unclear.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
I mean, shame on them for yeah, they wanted it out at launch, so I'll cut
Yeah.
them a little slack for not releasing the game in the way it should have been released in the first place. But nice of Konami to care enough
Yeah.
to actually improve the experience of Bomberman R. So good on you, Konami. Um, you can have your pachinko cake and eat games too. My metaphor's failing. We want pachinko's nice and all, but we want actual video games too. Get
Yeah.
on that. And put PT back up on the PlayStation 4 store because people liked it.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that's an easy K. What do you think of the SNES stuff? I guess you mean the rumors that Nintendo is making a Super NES Classic Edition for
I
presumably the
I
fall.
I guess. Yeah.
I mean, we did
We
a
got
whole
all that
episode
out
last
of our
fall, yeah.
system
So
in August of last year. It's like right after the launch or right after the announcement for the NES Classic. We were like, "Ooh, the NES Classic is awesome. What games would we rather have seen on it?" And then we did a whole like week long thing of what do you want to see on a potential SNES Classic.
mhm.
So I watched. I read all this stuff this last week about the SNES Classic rumors, and I'm like, I'm so over that already. It's like I got all that out of my system long time ago.
I must say I'm bitter, and I shouldn't be bitter because these are systems that I personally don't want or need because I have the systems and the games in my other room. If I didn't already own it or already played it, I probably didn't want to. Um,
Yeah.
but now I hear, oh, SNES Classic Edition, whatever. I wouldn't be able to find it in stores anyway. And you're just going to cancel it after a few months of not supplying
Yeah.
enough to store. So who cares? Hell, you'll probably discontinue the Switch in August. It's selling so well.
Yeah.
So
I would love for Nintendo to do an SNES Classic, but really, I think they should have continued to produce more NES Classics for at least the rest of this year.
yeah,
Get it through the holiday 2017, and then in production as you prepare for the SNES Classic to come out in 2018. That's what they should have done, but that's not what they did. And but yeah, so if they want to release one, go right ahead. But man, I'm not going to hold out hope of ever getting one because I'm not paying $300 for an NES Classic. I'm sorry.
Agreed. So, all right, let us switch topics here and let's talk about Star Wars, which they released the first teaser, I suppose, for the Last Jedi, Star Wars Episode 8. And did you watch it, Zachary?
Yeah, I did. I'm probably going to watch every single clip, trailer, teaser for the next or the rest of the year before the movie comes out. Hopefully this year I'll actually be able to watch it in theaters. I didn't watch The Force Awakens in theater, but hopefully I'll be able to watch The Last Jedi in theaters this year. Yeah.
No, 13U2. Yeah, I'm not selling you my NES. It's mine.
So there was this controversy over the trailer, and you would think there wouldn't be a controversy over something so loved and beloved, but apparently something is controversial.
Star Wars has never done anything controversial before now.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, everything's been perfect until today. Everybody loved Jar Jar Binks. His toys sold like hotcakes, and
prequels were well received. The special editions were great. They're discontinuing of the original versions of the film didn't rub anyone the wrong way. Yeah, it's been smooth as butter.
Yeah. But if you guys haven't heard, there's this small controversy from the trailer about the location of a scar. Apparently, one of the actors got their appendix removed. No, I'm just I'm kidding. In the Force Awakens, Kylo Ren gets in a fight with Rey and gets his mask cut off, and he gets this scar or his burn mark right across his face from her lightsaber, and it goes from the middle of his forehead down the bridge of his nose, across his cheek, all the way down to his jawbone. And as Andrew shows, the nice little movie trailer for The Last Jedi has shifted that 1 inch to the right, and now it doesn't line up at all.
Yeah. So what does whatever the name of the person directing the movie, Ryan Johnson? Is it just Ryan?
I want to say Ryan Johnson. Yeah, because that's just replaced the Y with an I, so I assume it's Ryan Johnson.
So Director Johnson defended this decision on Twitter, saying it was my decision to slightly adjust it, and that was my justification. It honestly looked goofy running straight up the bridge of his nose. Well, that's no excuse, Ryan, because now there's a humongous continuity error.
Yeah, I can just picture the CinemaSins video, and he's going to spend like half an hour talking about why this scar should never have moved.
That scar's in the wrong place. Ding. That scar's in the wrong place. Ding.
Yep.
I don't. Maybe the scar would look goofy here, but I don't know. It looked fine. The wound looked fine. I think that. I guess it's an aesthetic thing. It's something that I'm the kind of guy who immediately noticed. I went, well, wait a minute. His scar's like, because I immediately looked for that, because the trailer first shows his mask like on the floor in tatters. I guess he threw another Kylo tantrum and stomped his mask into splinters. And then I'm like, oh, he's going to be without his mask. He's going to have this nasty scar across his face. It's going to be all badass. And then they show that clip of him, and the scar's like right across his eye. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not where he. So what Star Wars fans like me are going to have to do is we're going to have to rationalize this stuff and say that, okay, the lightsaber wound, He did get cut right here with the lightsaber, but that healed perfectly. This one, completely different injury that happened later.
Yeah, they're gonna have
There's going to be a tie-in comic that
yeah, there's
explains
going to be a
this.
tie-in comic that explains it, just like they did with C-3PO's red arm. There was an entire comic dedicated to how he got his red arm.
There's a new one right now explaining how Captain Phasma gets off of the Starkiller base.
Yeah, I read about that one. But yeah, but it's going to be this whole thing where Kylo Ren goes in for plastic surgery and gets that scar corrected because he thought it looked goofy because it didn't remind him of Darth Vader. Because Darth Vader looked very differently, and he's like, I don't like that. And then he realized, you know what, Darth Vader did have some scars on his face, so how about I give myself one? And then he decided, because he's so emo, he decides to cut himself. And he cuts himself down the eye. And
so he goes in plastic surgeon is like, Doc, I mean, look at this. Can you take care of that? And the doctor's like, yeah, we can, we have future space technology, or long time ago space technology, whatever. So yeah, we can replace severed limbs. We can definitely clean that scar. He's like, no. The scar's badass. It looks a little goofy running up the bridge of my nose. Could you just maybe move it to the right an inch or two? Right across the eye, because that's super badass. He's like, wait, you don't want it fixed, you want it moved because it's not cool enough? Yeah. Oh, you're such a dork. But okay, whatever. Your credit card cleared, so whatever you want, my man.
Yeah, some good stuff there.
I still think Rey is going to end up turning to the dark side, and Kylo is going to turn to the light side, and he's going to save her. Or
ooh, it's gonna be it's a M. Night Shyamalan twist. Yeah,
it's a twist. So
so what is your what? I don't know if we talked about this before, but what's your theory on what it means by the Last Jedi?
I'm guessing Luke.
Luke.
I don't know what you have to wonder. It's like all the footage of her levitating rocks and swinging her sword around on the island, and Luke is standing behind her with his arms crossed, and he's like, I'm not training you. You can totally stop. I don't care how much you swing that lightsaber. The Jedi should end. Stop it. No, Rey. No.
That would be hilarious. Yeah.
She's like, no, look, I can swing. I'm getting good at. I'm like all Jedi, and she's like, oh God, the Jedi must.
How in the world did you survive a fight with Kylo Ren?
Yeah. What do you think of the Jedi must end? I agree, because the Jedi suck.
Yeah,
the Jedi are terrible.
You watch the prequel trilogy. You can tell just how terrible the Jedi is as an organization, and they lose entire planets. They can't control the simplest of things. They can't tell that a Sith Lord is hanging out in the same city running the Senate. It's like, seriously, you can't tell he's a Sith Lord. But yeah, they're terrible, and they make dumb decisions.
They had their run, they screwed it up. Yeah, I agree with Luke that the Jedi need to end, because they're really doing absolutely no good. They keep producing mass murdering psychopaths. They can't defend the galaxy from evil. They don't even seem to know it's there most of the time. They can float rocks and stuff, and that's pretty cool. But so can people who are not Jedi.
Yeah, but the coolest Force users, because they're not technically Jedis, are what you would term the gray Jedis, like Ahsoka Tano, Kanan, and Ezra from Rebels. These guys are all pretty cool. Ezra's a little whiny brat, but Kanan,
isn't he like going dark side or something?
Well, no, he's just kind of because he's young, he's getting pulled between them. But they killed off Darth Maul, so he's no longer a direct influence on him. But yeah, Ezra's more going to be like a gray Jedi, and same with Kanan is still more of a light side Jedi. But yeah, but he's not a Jedi anymore. I don't even think he finished his Jedi training or something. I don't know. I can't remember everything about it. But yeah, these guys are cool characters, and it's just they're human, and or I say human, even though Ahsoka Tano's an alien, but they have real feelings, real lives, whereas Jedi's were kind of supposed to be monks, and it's like, yeah, that's not fun to watch. So yeah, the Jedi must die. I'm the Jedi Order must die. People can still use the Force and be bad, be awesome people, and or bad people, and yeah. If I were the Republic, I would make Force use illegal. Yeah,
You get up
that's
off the
never
couch and you
works.
change the television channel yourself, you lazy bum.
If we learned anything from the Prohibition, if you make the Force illegal, people will just make Force users in their bathtub.
That's right. Codename Z, Stormtroopers make no sense. They are best of the best, most elite force there is, and you never see them hitting something. If it was real life, everyone would be dead by the Stormtroopers. Yeah, yeah, they can't hit the broadside of the barn, and one laser blast sends them flying across the room. It's like, does that armor do anything? I think all that armor does is keep their bodies in one piece while they die. Because otherwise, if they were hit without the armor, that their bodies would disintegrate or explode in a bunch of pieces. Just keeps the body in one piece. Doesn't really protect them.
Well, and technically the Stormtroopers have no problems hitting targets, just as long as they aren't main character targets. Because I watched Rogue One again today. We rented it and watched it with the family, and the Stormtroopers were killing tons of people. Just none of the main story characters, at least not until the story called them to die. And that's when Stormtroopers started killing story characters, but they were killing rebels left and right. And so, they don't actually have a problem. It's just story characters have this force field around them that prevent them from being hit until the writers say that they can get hit. So
Matthew, you know who's the president? You're missing some words in your comment. I think what you're saying is that pretty much every psychologist points out that suppressing emotions is bad. Maybe the Jedi should learn from that. What's interesting is most of the failure and just, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you ness of the Jedi was introduced in the prequels. I mean, there were underpinnings of it in the original trilogy. I mean, Yoda's kind of telling Luke, forget about your friends. He's like, I've got to go save my friends because I care about them. He's like, oh well, there's another Skywalker. This guy's toast. But the prequels really drove that home with you should feel no emotions, you can't love, you can't. It's like, what? Why? What?
Yeah.
And you guys wonder why you keep producing mass murdering psychopaths. Stop it, you nutters. I mean, you guys suck so much you made Sam Jackson uncool. That's how much of a failure the Jedi are. They suck so bad that they make Sam Jackson uncool.
Yeah, you know what could have helped out Anakin Skywalker and prevented him from becoming Darth Vader is if the Jedis use their vast resources to go back to Tatooine and pay off Guido or whatever his name was and buy Anakin's mom and bring him back. Seriously, I think there is a dollar amount on what that guy was willing to take to part with Anakin's mom.
It wasn't great. I forget what the
I forget his name.
Dude's name is. He does make he's like, no price is worth two slaves, blah blah blah.
Well, it's like, no pod racer is worth two slaves.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sure you could have.
Well, here's two pod racers.
Yeah, could have done something or given him a droid or anything, But it is kind of weird when Attack of the Clones starts and it's like, wait, it's been 10 years and he hasn't even gone back to visit?
I know.
Did the Jedi not even let him? Oh man, that's terrible. 13U Cube, any other actor could have made Anakin a better character. I don't think so. I don't think any actor. There was just
Yeah.
enough there for them to play with.
Um,
I mean,
the
another actor may have had more believable natural chemistry with
yeah. I
Natalie
think
Portman,
I'm
but
with there's a number of people online who say that the episode 1 could have been a little bit better had Anakin been 4 years older than what he
yeah,
was.
that was weird.
Yeah, but yeah, because he was so young, I think 10 years old, and
Something, yeah.
Amidala was supposed to be 16, and it's like he's macking on a 16-year-old and she's falling for it. It's like, what? But yeah, it's a lot of flaws, and his age was one of them. But yeah, seriously, it's been 10 years and you haven't gone back to visit your mom. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, or use political leverage or something, anything, dude. It's your mom. Oh well.
Yeah.
Moving on to the last topic. We've got some Marvel stuff. So, Freeform is a thing. It's a television channel that I've never heard of before the past couple of weeks, because they've got 2 shows. They've got a New Warriors show, which is going to have Squirrel Girl in it, which makes me
Yes.
very happy, and
Yes.
a Cloak and Dagger show, which is not a property I'm terribly familiar with.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with it either. My experience with Cloak and Dagger is from the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon show, where they showed up for a handful of episodes, and they have an interesting power set. But yeah, I haven't delved too deeply into who they are and what they do. But.
Well, Freeform, whoever that is, is that basic cable? Is it a paid
I have
channel?
no idea.
I've never
know.
heard of this before, but
It's probably
no
a
idea.
Disney-owned channel because it's
maybe
because
I hear
Marvel is a Disney property.
I hear it's a very teenager targeted channel. It targets the teens.
Yeah.
And they released a trailer of Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, it's owned by Disney ABC. So.
Okay. Oh, ABC. Okay.
Yeah.
The trailer launched this week, and it's very angsty. So maybe it will. I mean, it is like wall to wall angst.
Yeah.
So maybe teenagers will love it.
I don't know. Yeah, Freeform does other television shows like Pretty Little Liars and Shadow Hunters and a few others that I'm only marginally familiar with. They've got a couple of sitcoms that my wife likes, Young and Hungry and Baby Daddy, but I've never watched anything from them, so I don't know. Well, I've watched a handful of episodes from a couple, from a combination of those shows, just because my wife was watching something and I was in the room with her. But yeah, I watched this trailer and my first thoughts were, okay, are they trying to pull another Riverdale? For those who aren't familiar, Riverdale is the CW's take on Archie comics, and they've turned it into a murder mystery a la Twin Peaks, I guess. As far as I can tell, it's really weird. If the characters weren't named after Archie comics characters, it would just be generic teen drama from the CW. It's that far removed from the source material. But if they do have a Punisher or a Predator episode, I would be all over that. Because both of those characters have crossed over with
weird stuff.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
But
my first thought when I saw the not Riverdale, Cloak and Dagger trailer was these are all scenes from the pilot. I don't think they've shot anything other than the pilot, because this looks like it's taken from the pilot. All of it is taken from the pilot episode.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's. I doubt the trailer shows anything more than episode 2, if it shows anything at all from anything other than the pilot. But yeah, it's very, very light on the superheroics, like anything power related. It's like the
You would
last
not know
15
it, yeah,
seconds.
you would not know this was a superhero show, except at the very end, she's holding one of her light daggers, and that's it.
She had accidentally stabbed somebody with one,
Yeah.
and then you get a vague, like, it doesn't actually show Cloak teleporting, but he
You
wakes
get the
up on
sense
the
that
roof of a building,
of a
and
Rexon building, if you look at
yeah,
the
rocks
sign
on, yeah,
Roxxon, sorry, the sign he's standing
yeah,
next to. My guess is that but because he's wrapped in his bed sheets, which is kind of his cloak,
yeah.
and
He's got a
she's
yeah.
a ballerina, so she has like a white leotard. My guess is that that's the only nods to the costume this entire show will have. The rest of it is just teens making googly eyes at
Probably.
each other
I
and
don't think
being
they're going to
angsty.
go for the. Yeah, I don't think they're going to go for the dagger cutout on her top.
Oh,
Um,
no, probably not.
yeah, which was always a weird aesthetic choice. Like,
Yeah.
and there's like somebody had drawn an entire comic series about dagger nipple slipping, because it's like there's nothing holding on to these little
Double-sided tape.
flaps.
Double-sided
Yeah.
tape. You know, instead of a window, you can just embroider a design on it. It's fine. But
Yeah, seriously.
it'll be interesting to see. Well, I probably won't see it because I don't have TV. But it'd be interested to
Yeah.
see
When it
where what direction they're taking with this show.
Yeah, I don't know if
Because a
Freeform
lot of the
stuff is on
superhero
Hulu
shows
or
are
not, but
genuinely leaning into the superhero-ness of the superhero shows. I mean, even Arrow, which, from what I understand, started out very broody and kind of trying to do the Nolan-esque realistic superheroes, is getting a lot more superhero-y in its later seasons than it started out with. And Gotham, too, from what I hear. But then you have
yeah,
stuff like
Gotham
Supergirl and the
is a
Flash, which has
whole
always
number
leaned
ball
really heavily
of
into,
wax.
yeah.
Yeah, well, the Flash had the luxury of coming out during season 4 of Arrow. So Arrow went through all of the superhero show growing pains
Yeah.
for the CW, and then they were just able to jump right into the comicness of the show. But the Flash does have its problems, and I will grant you that. But yeah, but it's a very, very good show. I like it. But yeah, I don't know how Cloak and Dagger is going to turn out. This trailer doesn't
It's not
doesn't
grabbing
fill me
me,
with
but
confidence.
from what I understand, it's not targeting me either. So,
But I'm the type of person, I'll watch everything superhero, and I'll give everything at least one season.
Yeah.
I even gave Gotham a full season before I said no, I'm not watching this anymore, because it's just terrible. I don't know why it's in a third season now, or going
Because
to be a third
Batman.
season. But there is no Batman, yet it has like 90% of the Batman's rogue gallery already, which is crazy. I don't.
It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, Batman, your rogues gallery's been around for 15 years. We kind of had this under control. We didn't really need you. We've been dealing with the Joker and Riddler and Penguin and stuff since you were yay high. You're not really needed. You're just kind of making things worse, buddy. Codename Z question says, would you like to see Nintendo letting the Switch use an external hard drive, even if it's only for docked mode? Yes, because it's got pitiful online storage. I'm sorry, onboard storage, much like the Wii U. And
it has an SDXC port, but
true, but
the micro SD cards. But yeah,
those are I can get a much bigger hard drive for a lot cheaper. And I don't have any plans to actually move my Switch, which again I don't have yet, but I'll be getting a Switch eventually. And I will use it as a console that sits under my TV and never leaves. So
you know, one of these days you're going to be sitting there playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, and you're going to be in the middle of the boss battle, and then all of a sudden you have to go take a dump, and you're going to look at this and you're just like, do I want to pause it? I'm really enjoying this battle. Click. And you walk off to the bathroom with it in your hands. You know you're going to do that. And
you
you're
know
going
what
to
scares me is going to anyone's house and realize that they've been pooping with. They're like, "Hey, want to play Switch with me?" I'm like, "No, I know you've pooped with that. I know you've pooped with your Switch. No, I don't want to hold your Joy-Cons."
Yeah.
I'm sure you set it down and didn't touch it, set it down, then wiped, then washed before you touched it again, but fecal matter flies all over the bathroom and lands on it anyway, and I don't want any part of this now. Thank you very much. No, my Switch is going to stay docked into my TV. That was gross. But who knows? Maybe I will just be playing it on my 60-inch widescreen high def television, my wonderful sound and stuff, and I'll suddenly think, you know what? I'm in the middle of a boss fight, but I suddenly have the urge to continue this on a park bench outside and fight the glare of the sun. That's where I want to go outside and sit on a bench in the middle of the park and squint in the sun and try to get around the reflection and finish the fight out there on a smaller, lower resolution screen with lesser quality sound. That's how I want to finish this epic adventure.
You're going to do that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sure you've lied to us all these years, and you actually pick up your Wii U gamepad, and you go and you sit in the hallway of your apartment complex and play it leaning up against the hallway wall, because that's as far as you can get with that Wii U gamepad. You do that all the time, don't you?
Of course. Now Scotty J reminds me you need the massive dog to do that. That's right. Can't go play on a park. Can't play Switch on a park bench without your massive dog. Or maybe I'll want to go to a rooftop party with Karen, who apparently is the woman with that weird skirt in the original Switch ad, which looks kind of like a potato sack that someone tied around her waist. I've never seen a skirt like that before. It's the weirdest skirt I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But Breath of the Wild, but
Pokemon Go style. So instead of tracking down Pokemon, you're picking up what are those Carrot seeds or whatever they are.
Korok
in real life. Korok seeds.
Yeah, there are 9 million of them hidden around. There are 900 in the game. There are 9 million hidden on planet Earth. Go get them. Gotta catch them all. Gotta find them all.
Oh, that would be horrible.
Gas Can on Fire. There's a great name. I think I've seen you here before. Asks, referring to Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., no doubt. Can't Grant Ward stay dead?
Technically, he still is. He's just alive in
It's just a simulation of
It's
war.
in a simulation, yeah. It's the Matrix, the framework, as they call it in the show.
I thought
so it's just a digital recreation of Grant Ward.
Yeah, but when Brett Dalton, the actor, sat up in bed and he's like, "I'm back on the show," my first thought was, "Thank God it's not Lincoln." And Lincoln's still dead, even in the virtual world. So I'm like, yay! And nothing against the actor who played him. I just couldn't stand the character. What a nothing character.
Yeah.
They're like, Sky and Lincoln are a thing now. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, it was as out of nowhere as Hulk and Black Widow. And you're like, what? Did we skip a film? What happened here?
Yeah. Yeah, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have made some interesting choices, but overall, I think the show has been really good. All the Inhuman stuff was I thought their best season was that Inhuman season. This season hasn't gripped me as much, but I still enjoy it. I still like it.
It doesn't flow too well, but there are enough really strong elements, I think,
yeah.
that make
Well,
it worth watch if
and
you're
the life model
a
decoy
hardcore
thing
fan.
is, yeah,
Yeah,
the life model decoy thing has been something people have been expecting since the beginning, and I love their little nod to Pat um,
Patton Oswalt.
yeah, Patton Oswalt, his character in there,
No,
because he
yeah, they
plays
mentioned
like a
one of the
bunch of
Kearings.
brothers,
Yeah,
and when he was first introduced, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, he's a life model decoy because there's more than one of them,"
yeah.
and everybody's like, "Yeah, they're life model decoys." And then this season, they were like, uh, they say something and it sounds like they're life model decoys, but it's like, no, we worked on that project, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
so
and it sucked.
yeah, we were terrible at it, so we canned the project. And but yeah, I thought it was hilarious that they actually made that nod to all the fan theories. That was great. I
I
like
actually
that.
liked the Keurig, I think is the name of
Keurig,
the character, right?
yeah.
They have a sister, and she's hilarious, but she's only in like 5 minutes of the entire series. She's in one episode for 5 minutes, and she's hilarious. But
Yeah, she was
hopefully
great. I
they
love
bring
it.
her back because I really enjoyed her.
Yeah, yeah, she was a great character, and yeah, it threw you off. It's like when they were talking, because they never mentioned a sister before, and then all of a sudden she shows up, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is who we were talking about the whole time." And we're like, "Really?" So,
So there was also another just Shield agent, just random Shield agent number two, who was in like the first episode of the season, and she just immediately had a presence that I found really interesting. I'm like, I hope they do more with her. And then they did more with her in the second episode with her awkwardly talking to Melinda May,
uh-huh.
and then she pretty much never see her again. I'm like, oh, did we forget about that character? I thought they were going somewhere with her, but maybe
Yeah,
not. Shame too, because I
yeah,
thought she was neat.
they've had some good characters in there before. I really miss Trip. He was a good character, and it was really sad to see him die so horribly at the end of the second season. I
Yeah.
think. But yeah, I really wish they kept him along. But Mac, I like Mac too. He's really good, and
Max,
I
oh,
love his
the shotgun axe.
shotgun axe. That is the coolest thing ever, and and everybody loves that one too, because it's just the coolest weapon. There
Yeah.
was there was an episode of House. Okay, a totally different show, but
Hmm.
there was House. House was having some kind of nightmare, drug-induced nightmare, and it was in some kind of zombie apocalypse. And he was walking around with his cane, and then all of a sudden he was using his cane like a shotgun, and then an axe popped out of it, and it was like, most hilarious thing ever. But yeah, I think that might have been the inspiration for the shotgun axe. But
Jordan says, seems like Marvel's scraping the bottom of the barrel. All we need now is full-fledged versions of Blade, which we've had 3 movies, but wouldn't mind seeing them come back. Throg, Howard the Duck had a movie and a cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy. Actually, wouldn't Howard the Duck is great. Not the movie so
yeah,
much, although there's a lot to admire about it, but the character is cool.
the movie was
Astro
fun.
Dog. Astro the dog was also cameoed at the end of Guardians of the post-credit sequence.
It's
Or no, I think
Cosmo,
he's
the Astro Dog. Yeah, yeah. He
Bro,
was
the Cosmo Mart.
yeah,
He's
Cosmo. He
he's
was
running
in
out.
yeah, he was in the collector's
Right.
collection, and then he was in that in credit scene where the collector was just crying over his blown up collection, and there was Howard the Duck and Cosmo, the Astro Dog, was in there. But yeah, I think Cosmo might actually have an appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, sweet.
I'm not for sure on that, but if he does, that would be totally awesome. But I don't think Marvel's scraping the bottom of the barrel. They've got plenty of franchises to milk.
I still want
For
She-Hulk.
yeah, they definitely need to bring She-Hulk, and I think she would make a great Netflix series. And and bring her on in phase 2 or 3 of the Marvel Netflix stuff, and I think that would be awesome.
I think Jordan
Um,
Thompson is implying that I should play Gambit, not Channing Tatum.
okay.
Channing Tatum says Channing Tatum's #1 spot for playing Gambit in the future. Andrew, please fix this. Not sure how. We'll all take over the role. Um, is
Yeah,
there a Cody?
I
Yes.
don't.
Is there a superhero movie? I need to work on the Cajun accent. Is there a superhero movie moment where you wanted to punch someone because you can't believe how stupid it was? I haven't seen Batman v Superman. Um,
Oh, there's plenty of those moments. Batman v Superman, Man of Steel,
the
Superman
Martha thing in
Returns.
Batman v Superman, probably.
Yes, that was the biggest. That was the biggest one in there. But yeah,
We're best friends now.
yeah. Oh,
It's like
Marvel
it's
movies.
it's like word gets out and every villain in Gotham is like, no, 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 my mom's name is Martha. It's like, we're best friends now. Go about your business. Yeah. Every robbing a bank, it's like, oh, my mom's name is Martha. Mom's name is Martha. Yeah, my mom's name is Martha. It's like, what?
I'm surprised that hasn't been like a college humor sketch or something, or a dorkly sketch, because that's hilarious. I think that would be awesome. I just recently watched a clip. It's like 11-second clip from Mask of the Phantasm, the animated cartoon movie for Batman, and and it's this clip where Batman's like rummaging through somebody's dresser, and this thug hears something from this room, and he opens the door. He's like, "Hey, who's in here?"
Oh yeah.
And Batman's just standing there, staring at him, and the guy's just like, slowly closes the door, and another thug walks by, is like, "What was that?" "Nothing," and then he just walks off.
He's like, nope, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that from the animated series. That was great. That show was so good. We 90s kids had it good.
Yes, we did. We had the best superhero cartoons. There's some good ones out these days, but man, they don't hold a
Oh, gas
candle
can
to
on
what.
fire. Yeah, you nailed it. The Storm's comment to Toad in the original X-Men movie. I actually had
Oh yeah, that one was bad.
I
That
did a
was bad.
video about this. One of my early YouTube videos is something like movie quotes that stick with us, and this one stuck with me, but for a bad reason. It's the uh, Toad's hanging off the top of the Statue of Liberty by his tongue, and she's about to summon lightning, and she says, "You know what happens when a toad is struck by lightning?" And her eyes roll over white, and the sky crackles with electricity, and she glares at him and says, "The same thing that happens to everything else." And even Arnold Schwarzenegger is like, "Oh my God, that was painful." That may be like the single worst line in a movie ever. I mean,
Yeah, that was probably the worst thing about that first X-Men movie.
was it an ad lib and Halle Berry just had too much clout? No one could tell her no. Otherwise, someone wrote this line and it was revised and edited and survived several drafts. And it's like, how did someone write that down and it actually get to being filmed and edited and put in a movie without someone saying, oh no, 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 absolutely no. Ah, maybe
Yeah.
that was just the best one that
So
they came up
Matthew
with.
says
That's
that.
all.
Yeah, but Matthew says he's still upset that DC messed up the animated version of The Killing Joke, and to be honest, that comic had issues of its own, and they didn't do
They made
anything
it
about
worse.
those issues. They made it worse, exactly. Um,
Let's
and then
let's just double down on the worst elements of this story, which has a lot of positive elements of it, especially for the time. But it hasn't really aged well, and it did need some changes. But instead, and one of the I haven't seen it. I've just read a lot about it and the animated version, and it's like yeah. All
Yeah,
the
well,
additions
the
don't really
animated
help.
version, they added like 45 minutes to the
Yeah,
beginning
because it's one
that lead
comic.
up to that lead up to the Joker shooting Batgirl,
Mhm.
and they really damseled Batgirl. They made her just fawning all over Batman, and it's horrible. It's like you took a really strong, popular character and turned her into the love interest of Batman, and it's like, why? And it wasn't even like a reciprocated love. It was she had stars in her eyes for Batman, and he wasn't reciprocating that, and it was causing her to go nuts. And yeah, terrible.
Matthew says
um
they added a creepy love story that was not needed. That's what I've heard.
yeah, yeah. And then Matthew also says his favorite X-Men cartoon is still X-Men Evolution. That
Never
one
saw
was
that
all
one.
right. Yeah, it was okay. I actually liked Wolverine and the X-Men better, even though that one was only one season. But X-Men Evolution was still a pretty decent cartoon. Not as good as the original X-Men cartoon.
Yeah. Codename Z
Um,
sets a scene in a classroom where the teacher is explaining that George Washington's wife's name was Martha, and Batman jumps in. Why did you say that name?
oh,
Could be a
great
whole series of
stuff.
Batman just Kool-Aid Manning through walls. As why did you say that name? Yeah. And
Yeah,
Jordan says we need a Freakazoid and Powdered Toast Man movie. I agree. Live
yeah,
action Powdered
no,
Toast Man.
yeah,
I don't know how you do live action Freakazoid, but uh,
yeah. I have no idea.
we'll see.
I'm only vaguely familiar with those two franchises.
Oh,
But
Freakazoid is great. Powdered Toast Man
yeah,
was a I think a character in Ren and Stimpy, who is just a superhero who flies backwards and has cinnamon powdered toast piece of bread for a head. It was just a
interesting.
short
Yeah.
and Pepsi Man needs a sequel. I actually saw I think Awesome Games Done Quick or Summer Games Done Quick. One of them did Pepsi Man. I think last summer on the charity speed run thing, and it ended up I think being one of their most watched. It went viral, and there were like 100,000 people watching at one point because it's such a weird game. Um, anyway, so
Yeah.
that is our show for this week, and we are going to sign off, and I'm going to continue editing my videos. So, Andrew Eisen here, Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it into YouTube, and you'll find my YouTube videos along with my newest series, Debut Review, which is an excuse for me to watch more anime. What I'm doing is I'm giving each new anime show of the 2017, the spring 2017 season, one episode to hook me. And so I watch an episode and I tell you what I thought and if I'm going to watch episode two. So the first installment of Debut Review looks at episode one of Love Tyrant. So that's up on my YouTube channel now. Check it out. Next episode is, I think, Kato, the right answer, which I'll probably put up on Monday. So hope you enjoy that. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at Andrew Eisen. Zachary, plug away.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night, and I'm actually working on game stuff this week. So check out DK_gaming on Twitter and DivineKnightGaming.com. I will be posting stuff there, and if you're interested in checking out updates for Manly Boy, you can go to itch.io and search for Manly Boy, or just go to manlyboy.divineknightgaming.com, and that will have a direct link to itch.io. And hopefully I didn't screw up the download files. I'm going to double check those, but before Super BitCon, but hopefully they're not screwed up. But yeah, because but also if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and okgamedev.com. And once I'm done with Super BitCon, I should have a little bit more time to actually focus and play a few games and write about them. But there you go.
All right, that's it for episode 45 of Molehill Mountain. Thanks everyone for watching or listening or however you're absorbing the show. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.